Our MC welcomed them with excitement, urging them to sit down and feel at home. He mentioned that Li Tianyuan greeted him as Your Majesty, while Zhao Zhuo was visibly in a bad temper, seemingly annoyed. However, as Li Tianyuan extended his greetings, old Zhao promptly sat down, questioning the new emperor about familiarizing himself with the courtier's affairs for the following day. As he inquired, the old man contemplated another sinister plan, chuckling inwardly at the thought of discussing matters with the ministers of the Zhao faction in court later. He was confident they would band together to prevent the emperor from stepping down the next day. Meanwhile, our MC was excited about the impending consequences of his actions, pondering over the diligent governance bonus they would receive. He mused that it would be unwise to hold court immediately after ascending the throne. While drinking and raising his left hand, he declared that holding court was a hassle and admitted his lack of experience as the newly crowned emperor. Nonetheless, he expressed his trust in them to manage court affairs, all the while winking at them. Li Tianyuan realized that indeed, His Majesty had rejected Zhao Zhuo's request to hold court. He speculated, with an intense gaze, that it wasn't only Tu Ye, our MC, who guessed that Zhao Zhuo wanted to suppress him in court, but also that he had cleverly brought up a reason to trust them as his ministers, making the argument irrefutable. He thought Zhao Zhuo's shallow schemes were completely inadequate compared to his own. Our MC stretched his body with a devilish smile, indicating it was time to unveil his plan to recruit concubines and deduct points. With a smile on his face, he announced that they needed to halt discussions about court affairs for now. He explained that the reason he had summoned them was to discuss something else. With a composed and slightly blushing demeanor, he confessed that as the emperor, having only Zhao Shu in his harem was rather embarrassing. Therefore, he decided to gather beautiful women and expand his harem. Upon hearing this, old man Zhao Shuo was taken aback, cursing under his breath about the late emperor's body not yet being cold, and our MC already thinking with his desirous. He also remarked that he had never seen such a shameless person, and also, Li Tianyuan was shocked, realizing that Tu Ye had specifically summoned them for an audience to discuss matters unrelated to state affairs. He wondered about the purpose of the harem recruitment. Confused, our MC confirmed that it was correct and expressed his desire to resolve the matter quickly, happily thinking about clearing his national PowerPoint sooner rather than later. The two of them reacted by thinking of him as a damn perverted emperor. Zhao Zhuo, wiping his sweat and pretending to agree, supported the idea of gathering beauties from all over the world. However, he cautioned against haste while addressing our MC formally for the first time as Your Majesty. Our MC responded with a high-spirited aura, raising his hand and shouting that he understood. They couldn't rush to gather beauties from all over the world, so they would start by searching for beauties within their capital. Upon hearing our MC's words, Old Man Zhao became even more surprised and irritated, thinking him a greedy pervert and questioning the necessity of such impatience. He pondered Li Tianyuan's opinion on the matter, warning him in his mind not to be misled by their brat majesty's pretext of gathering beauties. He suspected the focus was probably on the capital. While old Zhao was contemplating this, our MC added that he had come up with the most time-saving and effortless method, suggesting they start by selecting from the female relatives of the ministers in their court. This revelation surprised Li Tianyuan, who realized the truth. He had devised a good plan to use him even more. But let's not spoil further. Let's continue. After their meeting concluded, Zhao Zhuo and Li Tianyuan walked away, discussing how Tu Ye was ignoring state affairs and seeking to expand his harem, a rhythm akin to a true tyrant. Zhao Zhuo believed the brat was digging his own grave by assuming the emperor's position, which would save them much effort in taking him down. Li Tianyuan halted, shouting at Zhao Zhuo to stop. Old Zhao, shocked and sweating, was met with a stern Li Tianyuan, who warned that underestimating their majesty would lead to the execution of their entire families. Apologizing for losing his composure, Li Tianyuan explained that the majesty's actions were all part of a cunning strategy. Old Zhao, confused, questioned the strategy, and Li Tianyuan revealed that Tu Ye had foiled his plan to embarrass him in court, showing he knew their intentions inside out. Old Zhao was incredulous, as they had been summoned immediately after making their plan, with no chance for leaks. Li Tianyuan argued that Tuye's anticipation of their plan was what made it so terrifying. Besides not holding court, Tuye's desire to expand the harem might seem indulgent, but it was actually a cohesive chain of strategies aimed at them. Old Zhao, sweating, asked for clarification on this cohesive chain of strategies. Li Tianyuan explained that Tuye's confidence in not holding court stemmed from his belief that he could still control state affairs without it. By taking the female relatives of the courtiers into the harem, he could win over ministers through marriage and undermine their influence in court. Frightened, old Zhao asked what they should do. Li Tianyuan, smiling, said there was nothing they could do. Tuye was the new emperor and naturally wanted to expand the two-family bloodline in the harem. Turning to old Zhao with a devilish smile, Li Tianyuan stated that as subjects, they had to fulfill his wishes. Days later, in the palace side hall, Li Tianyuan approached Tuye, addressing him as Your Majesty, and reported that per his orders, all descendants of the Tu clan had been demoted to commoners, except for the eldest prince, Tu Su, who was stationed outside and had not yet received the decree. Tuye raised his hand, signaling to stop, stating those matters were not important and would be discussed later. He swiftly turned the conversation to the selection of his harem. Without further ado, Li Tianyuan assured they had not failed his command, but due to limited time, he asked for forgiveness. Clapping his hands, he called for the women to come out and let His Highness take a look. Our MC, excited, beheld the beautiful women who appeared, and he was so amazed he even drooled, thinking he was in paradise. Li Tianyuan stood silently, ashamed of his reaction. As the women greeted him as Your Majesty, our MC happily returned their greetings. Surprised by this, Li Tianyuan approached Tuye and asked if, among the concubines recruited, there were any who liked to indulge. Li Tianyuan, sweating, admitted he was not quite sure what Tuye meant by indulge. Tuye, suspecting Li Tianyuan was pretending to be innocent, thought that even if he hadn't heard of indulgence before, as a man, he should understand the context from the conversation. Li Tianyuan feared Tuye was growing suspicious of him, knowing that most of the concubines brought into the palace were from influential noble families, which seemed reasonable on the surface and raised no issues, except for two women, Fan Taozhu and Zhuge Sha, whom he mentioned. He also says that over a decade ago, during the reign of Emperor Qian of the Great Qian Dynasty, the two prominent families, the Fan family and the Zhuge family, offended the late emperor and were wiped out. On impulse, he secretly saved two young girls during the execution. For the past decade or so, he has kept their identities hidden and raised them by his side. Unexpectedly, both of them inherited the talents of their predecessors and became important pawns in his hands. He revealed that the story involved Li Tianyuan talking to Zhu and Sha, telling them that Emperor Tu Tianjun, who exterminated their entire family, had already died. Upon hearing this, both showed a furious look. Li Tianyuan questioned whether they harbored any resentment since they couldn't take revenge personally, but now an opportunity for the two clans' downfall presented itself, albeit with great risk. The new Emperor Tuye was not only cunning but also depraved and cruel, even more terrifying than Tu Tianyun. Zhu declared she was willing to die 1,000 times for revenge, and Sha had long been prepared to sacrifice herself. Li Tianyuan, amused, thought this was the perfect opportunity to place both by Tuye's side under the guise of selecting concubines, ensuring no one would suspect anything. Our MC, using his special ability, the Eye of Perverted Sight, with his tongue out and eyes shining, noted that the two misses were exceptional. Li Tianyuan was shocked, wondering if Tuye had noticed. Our MC analyzed their status and capabilities. Zhuge Sha, the granddaughter of the prominent scholar Zhuge Tiangang during Emperor Tianjun's reign, was the sole survivor of the Zhuge family after their extermination. Adopted by Li Tianyuan, her political power was 32, Machiavellianism 90, martial prowess 20, conquest 35, charisma 83, and rebellion 96. Fan Taozhu, the granddaughter of the wealthy merchant Fan Suiyan during Emperor Tianjun's reign, was the only survivor of the Fan family after their extermination. Also adopted by Li Tianyuan, she approached him to seek revenge and destroy the country. Her political power was 37, Machiavellianism 96, martial prowess 82, conquest 66, charisma 26, and Rebellion 66. After checking them out, he turned to Li Tianyuan, smiling, thinking that these two misses were originally planted by Li Tianyuan as undercover agents. He praised the move, saying that such snake-like and scorpion-like beauties who stir up trouble in the harem are the standard configuration of a tyrant who leads a country to ruin. Approaching them like a perverted brat, he complimented the two misses on being quite exceptional and asked their names. The girl in the red dress introduced herself as Zhu, and the girl in purple as Sha, both addressing him as Your Majesty. Our MC, getting close to Sha's face, noted she seemed a bit nervous. Li Tianyuan panicked, remembering Sha's introverted nature and fearing she might reveal herself under Tu Ye's imposing aura. Our MC touched her face, reassuring her that there was no need to be afraid, as he was actually very approachable. The girl closed her eyes quietly, but our MC continued to tease her, causing her to lose control and confess she couldn't take it anymore. The system informed him that Zhuge identity was unknown to others and had not been recorded in the system's hidden attribute. In a state of emotional tension, being touched by the opposite sex in sensitive areas, including but not limited to the chin, would cause her to faint due to embarrassment. And our MC was shocked because of it, and also Zhu and Li Tianyuan were shocked. But because of this, Li Tianyuan became more panicked, while our MC didn't expect it. Feeling ashamed, he thought it was supposed to be a scene of favor to win Li Tianyuan's heart. He didn't expect Zhuge tolerance to be so low. She messed up his performance, and he said that now Li Tianyuan would be afraid of her identity being exposed and would surely find an excuse to replace her. While thinking that, Li Tianyuan was looking at him and suddenly knelt to him, saying that he neglected his duty and made an improper selection, causing that woman to behave improperly in front of him. He said that he deserves to die and will take care of that woman immediately. While acting like that, our MC told him that there is no need for that, sweating and thinking that the only plan now is to forcefully continue with the act. He acted fast and picked up the girl, saying that he likes that type that can't resist with just a little teasing. He told Li Tianyuan that the people he selected truly captured his heart. Zhu, hearing those words, thought if the guy was really a tyrant because it seemed like he was just a pervert. Li Tianyuan wiped his sweat and thanked him if that was the case. Our MC said it's decided that tonight Sha will serve him in his bed, making perverted looks. Zhu thought that he would pay for that sooner or later, and cursed him. As she cursed him, our MC turned around and looked at her, wondering why the girl was looking at him with such dissatisfaction. She wondered if it could be. He asked her if she also wanted to serve him in bed, showing that impression, and suggested they play three-person landlords tonight instead. Zhu's reaction was like this. Now in our MC's bedroom, as he approached them, our MC thought that among the beauties in the place, these two young ladies were the most outstanding for him. The two of them looked at him, and our MC also remembered that his system showed that they approached him to destroy the country, which could be well utilized. He remembered that they were secretly adopted by Li Tianyuan and specially sent to him, thinking they must have extraordinary qualities. He said it was a pity that the system only displayed basic information and ability indexes, and he wasn't quite sure what special skills they had for destroying the country. In his deep thinking, Zhu thought about what he was thinking, and they looked at each other, clearly resolved to sacrifice themselves. They thought our MC would use all sorts of methods to humiliate them and force them to submit to him. They were scared just a little bit and sweating. Our MC stood there, looking at them with a serious face. Seeing Zhu thinking that doing nothing made him appear even scarier, she also remembered that when Li Tianyuan brought them in, he reminded them not to worry about their identities because Tu Ye never prepared disguises to ensure he couldn't uncover their backgrounds. He also said that Tu Ye was cunning, despite being lustful, and that Zhao Zhuo had already given him Zhao Shu, who was not only their ally, but also their competitor. If they wanted to gain Tu Ye's trust, they must show extra value beyond just beauty. He believed they knew how to demonstrate their additional value to him. While they remembered that and lost in thought, our MC asked what they were thinking, being so lost in thought. He started to ask them a question about any special talents or skills they had. The two of them thought it was expected as Li Tianyuan had said to them. Sha said she was skilled in fortune-telling, stargazing, handwriting analysis, talisman making, health prevention medicine, and alchemy. Our MC smiled, thinking if that was the strength of the daughter of a great alchemist and scholar. The girl also said she had good skills in the bedroom, blushing her face. But our MC is not an idiot. Despite fainting from just a touch of him due to her temperament, she still dares to claim she has good skills in the bedroom. As Asha finished speaking, he turned to ask Aju. While Aju observed him, she thought that judging by his expression, he didn't seem quite satisfied with Shah's answers. Coming from a merchant family involved in various business dealings since she was young, accompanying her grandfather, Aju not only excelled in financial calculations, but also in understanding human nature. However, her grandfather's experiences taught her that possessing both of those skills could easily arouse suspicion from those in power. The key to revenge is self-preservation, showing their value and presenting themselves as harmless. Remembering her past, she told him that as a weak woman, she didn't have any special talents or skills. Proudly stating this to his face, our MC thought that she absolutely couldn't mention being good at financial calculations or understanding human nature. The girl also mentioned that even though she came from a noble family, both her parents were deceased, and the only thing she had to offer was the vast wealth passed down from her family. She thought it was better than the image of a helpless, wealthy young woman with no family. Saying that our MC was shocked and remembered Batman's wisdom, saying that his superpower is being wealthy. He wondered if her deceased yet wealthy parents made her the alternate universe version of Batman. Implying those words, he thought about how both of them could contribute to the cause of destroying the country. Delighted by this thought, he told them that as the ruler of their nation, he couldn't be interested in Miss Aju's wealth. Instead, he asked her if she would be willing to manage the national treasury for him. While the girl was slow to pick it up of our MC words, and her reaction was this. But as she realized it, she was shocked and didn't expect it. While our MC was laughing and thinking that Fan Taoju comes from a profit-oriented merchant family, adept at embezzlement and financial fraud and causing economic collapse can be entrusted to her. Thinking that, he say to Asha as for her as from the family of scholars and historical. He say that a tyrant always had a penchant for those obsessed with cultivating immortality. Since she say that she was so talented, our MC appointed her as the female national teacher, and a slow add up that she oversee the royal hospital and be responsible for his longevity through alchemy. As Asha heard this, she was also shocked. While our MC thinking that he will entrust the task of depleting his body to her, while he was proudly saying he was a genius to make that plan to success his mission. In truth, our MC didn't know that this was truly their profession. Nevertheless, he mentioned that there was something important he wanted to say before he forgot. Now that Shaw was the national teacher, when she saw him in the future, she needed to wear her Taoist robe. He happily thought it would make for good cosplay scenes, though he was confused. The two of them had no idea what our MC was implying as they looked at him. Our MC, nose bleeding, wondered about it, and suggested that since they were going to cosplay, they should go all out. Having cosplay parties in the palace harem might not be a bad idea, he said it with excitement. After that it shifted into the study room of old Zhao's mansion. The elder was deeply engrossed in writing. As he penned his thoughts, he murmured, "If that brat Tuye refuses to accept the imperial edict, then I will personally see to it." Clutching a jade seal, he mused, "As long as the Lord is willing, he can be easily replaced." Though he acknowledged Tusu's skill in leading troops, he also deemed him not very bright, which made him blindly loyal. Even if the imperial decree orders him to commit suicide immediately, he will comply without question, he said. Once Tusu is eliminated, Tuye will have no reinforcements, and will be at my mercy. Smiling at his plan, he summoned his servant. General Zhaosen of the Zhaozhuo family entered and knelt in greeting. Old Zhao instructed him, "You must immediately head to Lingtong City in the northern country, and deliver this imperial decree to Commander Tu Su of the northern garrison." He proudly declared, "You are to witness Tu Su's suicide and bring back his head. I intend to present it as a gift to His Majesty." Zhao Xin acknowledged the orders and was ready to start to go. Unbeknownst to them, a spy had overheard the decree and hastily relayed the news to his leader, Lord Xiao, using eagle messengers. Now, with the birds having flown away, Zhao Xin's army made their way through the forest toward the north. Along their path, an ambush awaited. Xiao's army perched atop the trees, ready to strike because of the decree Zhao Xin carried. Xiao's, now in command, raised her hand to signal the start of their assault. "Prepare to," she began. But before she could finish, her foot slipped, and she fell. While her colleagues were shocked seeing her falling,